songs up there. Then when we get to, that's our project that we're working on. We've got a week, so if you can get them to us, the quicker the better. Okay, we leave Sunday morning bright and early. We've got a normal party in legal DC that night that we've got to be to about 7. So, and then after that, Brittany and myself will be getting on an Amtrak train. We're doing the whole planes, trains, and automobiles on this trip. And so we're riding up with Barb and Tom, and then we're going to get on Amtrak and go to DC because I'm going to be speaking at the Boston Freedom Rally.
Girl!
So that, So that's going to be a lot of fun, and just to let y'all know, I don't know, most of you that I see here do Facebook, so I'm not into all this stuff, but for this trip, we're going to be doing Instagram and Facebook, and so that since I am no longer really representing Peachtree Normal up there, I may use some curse words, so don't let your kids watch. But seriously, I'm going to be doing it on my page, on Sharon Rabert, and then I will forward them on to Peachtree Normal, and if they think they're appropriate or whatever they want to do with them from there. So if you want to follow me on Facebook and Instagram, of course it's Sharon Rabert, and then we'll post up the ones that are worthy of being posted if you don't want to watch all of them there on Peachtree Normal. And I think that's it.
No tweets?
Huh?
No tweets?
I'm not real good with that yet.
I can show you.
Okay, well maybe I should tweet
We
too.
will follow you. We will follow your tweets.
And
Okay.
we'll follow your Instagram.
Okay.
We'll follow your
Thank you,
Facebook.
Sharon.
And your Snapchat.
That's her job on the trip. She handles the tweets.
So after all that, next month, I know you've heard from us before. I ran out of room on our little events thing, but we do have handouts for the DPA conference from October 11th through the 13th at the Omni Hotel in Atlanta. So just read you this little blurb about what it's all about. So you'll be joining people from across the country, around the world, who believe the war on drugs is doing more harm than good. At this meeting, we'll learn from each other and find new ways to join forces to change our drug policies. And so what they have done, especially for the Southern Normal chapters and people on their mailing list, is they are still offering until September 15th, midnight, a $15 registration fee with a code. So it's about $345, I think, if you're a member at the member discount. So if you would like to attend and want to register, let us know, and we can give you that code this evening, and you're welcome to go ahead and sign up on your phone. And so that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's really awesome.
Any questions, any events I've missed? Oh, and we are doing the Little 5 Points Halloween Parade this year. Yay! Instead of Pride. So there's a group of people going to Pride to actually enjoy it this year because DPA is that same weekend. So, but we'll have clothing on, we'll have handouts, we'll still be preaching the good word about our plans. So the reason we're here tonight is today is Jury Rights Day. So for more than 25 years, on September 5th, the Fully Informed Jury Association, or FEJA, at FEJA.org, has celebrated Jury Rights Day as their signature educational event. So this is the day when you go out and talk about jury rights and jury nullification to everyone you know, and then hopefully you continue to follow that on throughout the rest of the year. So on this day, it was on this day in 1670 that William Penn of London was arrested for publicly preaching the Quaker religion in violation of England's laws that would only allow public practice of religion, of the religion of the Church of England and no others. So, though he had technically broken the law, he stated he was not guilty, he pled not guilty, and the court repeatedly demanded that the jurors find him guilty, but they wouldn't. They took punishments such as being jailed, they were left without food and water and basically tortured, and I'll talk about something that's going on in Carroll County after we go over the history that's very disturbing, that kind of leads into this stuff that happened in 1670. And some of what happened was some of the jurors appealed their fines and imprisonment, and in this appeal known as Buchel's case, the higher court ruling confirmed that the jurors Jurors cannot be punished for their verdict. If they didn't go the way the judge wanted them to go, they cannot be punished for this. And that still applies today. So if you go into a courtroom, you go into a juror, you get, sorry, it's late. I've been talking on the phone all day. So you go into the jury box, you're sitting there, you don't think that, even though this person broke this law, that this law is unjust, they're not using it properly, and you just don't think this person should go to jail, or we should waste our tax dollars housing this person in jail when they could otherwise work and contribute to society. So you can go in there and say not guilty based on those morals. Jury nullification is in the Georgia Constitution, Section 1, Paragraph 1, line 11. So it is your right to use it. There was a bill introduced a few years ago by one of our, it was Representative or Senator Sam. He tried to introduce a bill that allowed defense attorneys to tell the jury about jury nullification, but they just drug him through the mud for that. He was dragged through the mud and basically was not reelected after that, even though that's something that if more people had known about, we probably would have gotten more support. Yeah, talking about Sam, yeah. And so if someone wants to talk to their legislators and maybe wants to try to get more support for something like that in the future, we'd be willing to help get the word out and have other citizens call as well. So, what I heard about from a coworker 2 weeks ago about sitting on a jury in Carroll County. And believe me, we're going to update the ACLU about what's going on. I was told by my coworker that she sat in the room all day, no food, no water, no breaks. There was a vending machine. Now my coworker's diabetic. And basically the DA came down and told these jurors, you're here to threaten the defendants into taking plea deals. And then the judge came down and told them the same thing. They were there for at least 8 hours. Again, no water, no food, no breaks. My coworker's like, people are just going to say that people are guilty just to get out of here. And she just couldn't believe it. She couldn't believe it. So I got to tell her about jury nullification and and I said I definitely wanted her to turn this in to either Fox 5 News, something like that, because we've got to get the word out there that's going on, at least in Carroll County. If you guys hear about it, if you're sit on a jury and you hear about that going on, please let us know, because we are definitely taking notes on this, because this should not be happening. It's against the law, and that's one way we're going to at least try to get better juror rights, even though it's not necessarily have to do with jury nullification, but... Sorry.
18 USC 243.
Yes.
We need 12 jurors to convict, or 6 if it's a half jury, but just 1 to acquit.
1 to hang the jury. Smart juries are well hung. That's our saying. So you only need 1 juror to vote not guilty. It would be a mistrial, yeah. And usually they would, and usually they'll only come after you twice. After that, it's just a big waste of money. Our president in Tennessee was a lawyer, and he would help out on some of those cases. And basically, he said, once there's 2 mistrials, they typically won't come after you, because it's just they finally realize that they're wasting money on it. But we have plenty of handouts for jury nullification. Your charge, your homework, is to go talk to at least 1 person about jury nullification. Let them know about their right as a juror, that they can say not guilty when the law is unjust, and that Georgia doesn't necessarily want you to know about this, but it's in our Constitution. So you do have to be smart when you go in for jury duty as well. You don't have to give away everything, but don't lie. So say, like, I'm working on I wouldn't go in and say, I'm working on a master's degree and I'm assistive technology professional, nationally certified by the Rehabilitation Engineering and Assistive Technology Society, Rehabilitation Engineering and Assistive Technology Society of North America. So I wouldn't tell them that. I would say I work with people with disabilities. Something like that. So, you don't really have to give them everything. You don't have to. If they specifically come out and ask, I guess you would have to tell them, because you can't necessarily lie, but you don't have to let them know that you know about jury nullification. You can just say that I will do my best of my ability to judge the evidence as well as the facts and see what happens. So, has anyone got to sit on the jury? Dean almost got to. Has anyone been asked to take jury duty in the last year or so? When were you on there, Paul?
Prosecution wanted me, even though I've been convicted of a drug crime, and the defense did not, that I've done time in defense.
They messed it up, didn't
What
they?
was? Did you make it to the? Did you make it through? Anybody else?
Our executive director, Tom McCain, got called for jury duty the week after I did. And he said he learned something in Sullivan County. He said not to go to jury duty wearing a suit. He was the only one there in a suit. So they elected him to be the foreman on the jury.
And he's on a grand jury, so he gets to pick whether the people are gonna even go to trial or not.
Yay.
Yeah.
Interesting. So you never know where you're going to end up. And I really hate, that this awful thing came out of Carroll County, but I'm glad that I learned about it and could share it with you guys so that you guys can keep your eyes open and we can try to keep this from happening in other counties too. So we're definitely going to step in on that. Has anyone had any other issues like with jury duty or anything like that? Okay, so other than them finding out that we are who we are on Facebook and they don't want us on it, because we know about this stuff, we can only hope that we may be able to save someone someday. And if you talk to someone about it, if you tell at least one person about it, they'll tell someone else about it. They'll tell the next person about it again. Talk to one, teach 10, as Dr. Uma says. So please feel free to get any information you want from up here. Feel free, if we've got enough, to take a couple with you, a couple of brochures, a couple of handouts, and then you can leave that with someone else and pass it on. I really like putting these, those things at the gas station, the little things up there, these fit really nicely in the corner of the big ads at the gas pump right there. So, and I've been putting the Fresh Air for Justice, I put the other jury nullification ones. Quick Trip has their little brochure flat thing, and I just put them in there. So I'll stick one in there from time to time. So just some ideas for spreading the word. Anything else?
Now, when it comes to educating people about jury nullification, under Georgia state law, if it's state court, you have to be at least 150 feet from the entrance of the building. If you're any closer than that, and you get caught handing out any of this information like this, you can face a civil fine. Now, on federal buildings, at the federal courthouse down there, it has to be 300 feet. But if you do get selected and you go into the jury pool and everything, I was joking with everybody, I said they were letting the fox into the hen house. I said because I had checked with 3 different lawyers, 2 of them from VIJA and 1 from National NORML, and asked them about it and everything. And there's nothing wrong with carrying on a conversation with people while you're in the room. You just cannot have any printed materials on you. Make sure when you go in there, because if they do ask you to empty your pockets and they find, now normal cards and stuff like that's fine, but if they have anything on jury nullification, if you have one of these cards in your pocket, not only will they escort you out of the building, they can turn around and give you a trespass, which is a civil infraction, which is like a $125 fine. So far, we've not had anybody, knock on wood, in Georgia had this happen to them. We had one guy in New Jersey, well, they kicked it out. The state prosecutor stepped in and said, no, we're not going to prosecute this case. He was given misinformation and everything, and he was only like 125 foot from the front entrance of the federal building, handing out stuff about jury nullification because they were doing their round robin, which they have like 300 cases that they go through in a 3-week period. And it's basically they try to get everybody to take a plea deal. Almost 96% of all cases end in a plea deal.
And you heard how they're forcing people into plea deals now.
Right, because
all about the
anything they
revenues,
do
not
like
about
that counts as a
justice.
win in their column, and that's all they're looking for and everything. They're just wanting as many wins as they can. I got news for you. I'm an old school whore. If you want to lock me up, it's going to cost you. Because I'm going to make you pay and everything, because if you want to try to lock me up for something like that, then go ahead and layer it. Because if I don't care what it is, I'm going to a jury trial. I went through it once before. I went through it back in 1989 on a drug charge, not a marijuana charge, but on a drug charge. And at that time I was young and I didn't know what I was doing, but I did a lot better than most people and everything. I ended up with 5 years probation on a cocaine possession charge. And they were trying to get me to do 10 years. They were wanting me to roll over on people, and I refused to roll over on anybody. But they had made some mistakes. They changed the inventory on the warrant, which I had the original warrant signed by a judge with a blue pen, and the inventory written in a red pen.
Woo!
So when I went down there and I told the prosecutor, I walked up to him before my case was called, with a file about 2 inches thick in my hand. My attorney had a file that had about 5 pages in it. She turned and looked at me, she goes, "You didn't even need me here." She goes, "I was there." She goes, "I could have been doing something else today." She goes, "You handled everything." I went over there, talked to him, and told him, I said, "Look," I said, "No, I'll plead guilty." I said, "No jail time." Because they were talking about 10 years to serve 2 and then 8 years on probation. But I was able to bargain it down and everything. Of course, at that time and everything, the police department wasn't in a good light down there in a small little Georgia town. And especially when inventory on the warrant and everything, a gram of cocaine came up missing, and several firearms came up missing, and some gold chains. And so everything got returned. It took 2 years to get everything back, but everything got returned when everything finally got settled. But I lived with that over my head for 2 years until I finally took a plea bargain. And that's what they do. Of course, if I knew what I do then, if I know what I know now, I would have never taken that plea bargain. I would have taken it to court and I would have been expunged. I would have had everything kicked out.
No plea for me.
You know, I mean, as we get older and wiser and everything, and that's why it's important for us to talk to people about stuff like this. You know, if you tell anybody, all it takes is one person on the jury. Because under what they'll do is if you're picked for a jury, once you hear the case, the judge is going to ask if there's any, if anybody has any questions or, you know, before they dismiss the jury for deliberation. All it takes is one person to stand up and utter 2 words, jury nullification. Then the judge has to bring somebody in from the court clerk's office with law books and explain to every person on that jury and every alternate to their satisfaction what jury nullification is. You don't have to know everything about it. All you have to do is remember the words. And 90% of the people that are going to be sitting in that jury pool, like down here in Atlanta, the one that I went to last time I was down there were 300 people there that day. You know, we were all crowded in one room that wasn't much bigger than this room and that side dining room over there. I mean, we were packed in there like sardines. But I bet you 90% of the people in there had smartphones or tablets. And if they do, all you've got to do is just whisper in their ear, say, "Have you ever heard about jury nullification?" Google it. Go on to the next crowd. And go on to the next.
Telephone.
Yeah. In 5 minutes' time, you can cover a room of 300 people. Because everybody's going to be like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
They're going to get curious. Everybody's going to want to know. Is it some new game or something like that and everything, you know? But that's how we do this. And this is one of our biggest and best defenses against the corrupt judicial system that we have. It's become so corrupt and so prejudiced against people with cannabis, especially people with cannabis charges. If you notice, you see on the news and everything, that big bust that they had in Delaware County here a few weeks ago, they found 3 pounds of meth, 14 firearms, $8,000 in cash, and marijuana. Yet they showed the marijuana sitting there. It looked like maybe a quarter ounce. There was like 4 buds in a little bag. Somebody's personal stash they had in their pocket. But they had to mention marijuana, and they mentioned crystal meth, marijuana. Then they went on with the guns and the cash and everything, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So it's just like, you know.
Well, and jury nullification is also a defense against our legislators that will not change these laws, because they're the ones that are sending the money to be spent in these courts, and if we keep wasting these cases and using no plea for me and clogging up these courts, they'll start to get the message. And that's where, you know, our hands are tied with the legislature, other than, you know, talking to our representatives, stuff like that. This is where we can actually go in there and do something ourselves and say not guilty. And this is how alcohol prohibition was ended, Fugitive Slave Act. I mean, there was all kinds of wrongs have been ended with nullification. And I believe that eventually it will help with marijuana legalization as well. So it's already happening. Yeah,
it's happening across the country.
We did have a victory last year.
We've had a couple of cases of nullification here in Georgia and everything, but nothing on a grand scale that, you know, made national news and
It was
stuff like that.
a couple of college students, a little bit of weed, you know, but they stood up and said, you know, we're not taking a plea deal.
Prove it.
Not guilty.
Prove
Yeah.
it.
They're not
Yeah,
taking
there
a plea
were-
deal.
Actually,
Stood up.
there was three college students in Valdosta, Georgia. They got stopped, they found a roach in the ashtray. They arrested all of them.
For a roach.
Charged them all with simple possession. They went to court, they did, now, we're talking about 18 and 19-year-olds here. But their mom reached out to us and everything, and I sent her some information on jury nullification and everything, and talked to her a little bit. They went in there for their preliminary hearing. They turned around and they said, no, we're not taking a plea, because they wanted to give them all a plea. They wanted them all to get, they were going to give them 1 year probation,
Suspended
drug
license.
counseling, and a $500 fine.
And your license is suspended.
Yeah, and they're gonna lose their license for a year. Well, actually, they repealed that back in August and everything. They changed that and everything as of August the 1st. It's not an automatic suspension on your license. Unless you are the one operating the vehicle. The person operating the vehicle can, but before that, any drug
everybody,
charge,
yes.
you automatically lost your
Yeah.
license. Now it's only if you're in the operation of the vehicle. If you're behind the wheel,
Yeah.
you know, you can lose your license. But it's not automatic on that and everything. You'll keep your license until you go to court.
But it's very promising that we had 18 and 19-year-olds use this to beat the system.
Yeah, they stood up, they said,
And
no, they
so-
said, we want a trial by jury.
If they can do it, we can do it, and so just please keep talking to
Yeah.
people.
And the judge turned around and asked the arresting officer was there and asked the arresting officer, he said, well, how much marijuana was confiscated because it wasn't in the paperwork? He said, there was a little roach in the ashtray. He turned and looked at him, he says, you know what? He said, next time you want to bring somebody in on a marijuana charge into my court, he said, make sure you got enough to go around. He said, case dismissed, and all three of them. You know, and this happened about a year ago down there and everything, you know, but I mean, they were, two of them were college students and one of them had just graduated and was getting ready to go to college. So they went telling all their friends about it down there, about Austin State and everything. And the political professor down there and everything let two people wrote term papers on jury nullification.
Yes.
So when you say no plea for me, then that's presumably the subject is on bond, they've already been arrested, it's got paperwork, because the African American community, when they're hitting you with these numbers, I don't know a lot of guys who aren't gonna take that plea when they tell you,
Well, yeah, I
you see
mean,
your kids for 8 years, or
I
you
know.
see them in 6 months and take this 10 years on probation.
They do that
know
to
you're gonna
everybody.
fight it.
I mean,
Right,
I
right.
know,
See,
that's what they're
I mean,
doing.
Everybody I know is gonna take a plea.
they intimidate and they
Everybody.
threaten
And that's what they're
everything.
doing in Carroll County.
I didn't know
I'm
for
talking
me when I was
African
facing, yeah. I
Because
know.
they already got a leg under kicked out from their chair when they go to the system. And so they're like, I'm already guilty by association with being black when I get here. And I'm taking the plea. If they don't get them off me without increasing the charge, you know what? Let me just take it.
Yeah,
Now
well,
that I know this,
that's
if I
what
get
they
caught,
do and
then I'll
everything,
vote
but the thing is, see, we need to educate
That's
these
a
people.
Bernard.
We need to educate
Yeah.
these people and everything, because everybody has access to the internet. If not, you can find somebody that will go and do some Google searches and everything, you know, and look and see exactly what the laws are, because they will always come up with the maximum. Like they told me, you know, initially when I was arrested, they told me, they said, you're looking at 20 years. You know, they were trying to threaten me. They kept me down there in a jail cell, well, actually a broom closet, because they arrested 3 people and I think they only had 2 cells. So they put me in a broom closet. They gave me a milk crate to sit on. I had a mop sink in the corner and that was it. I was in that room for 3.5 hours.
Kevin, wave your
And
hand.
then they come in there and they want to talk to me and everything. They talked to me for another 2 hours. Then they let me go that night and they didn't come back and arrest me until 28 days later. They said they had to wait till the lab results come back to make sure it was cocaine before they charged me. See, it was one of their tricks. They were watching me and trying to see who I was going to contact and what I was going to do and hoping that I was going to try to make a run for them. I'm not running, you know. But, you know, I mean, I know what you're saying. I mean, you know, but see, they were intimidating the hell out of me, talking about 20 years. And I looked at the law and everything, and the law said for a first offense, the maximum sentence they could give me was 5 years. You know, that's why we come up and we settled on 5 years probation.
And it also, does the defendant have a public defender or a
You see, that has a lot to do with it and everything. Public defenders, don't get me wrong, there are some really good public defenders out there, but most of them are very much overwhelmed. If you cannot afford an attorney, the best thing to do is, like I said, you have to make yourself become Perry Mason. You know, you have to educate yourself, because then you can go in there and you can talk with your attorney and you can say, hey, look, what about this? Can we see if we can get this charge dropped down to this? So that your attorney's got something to work with, so they know what you're already on board with. But like my public defender that I had, she had 145 cases that she was defending at one
But
time.
public defenders are willing to trade lives. They do. They trade whatever. If you don't have a pro bono lawyer working for you, I had a public defender that was willing to trade my life down the road.
Oh, yeah,
So,
yeah. I mean, most of them, when you become a lawyer in Georgia, you have to serve 1 year as a public defender. So after you pass your bar in Georgia, you have, there's mandated, everybody has to do 1 year as a public defender. It's a paid internship, but the state makes you do that. That's how they have to, because they need so many damn defendants. You know, and even then, and everything, a lot of the public defenders now and everything, they'll tell you, they have anywhere from 100 to 150 cases at any given time. You know, a private attorney, he might only have 20 going at one time. Who's going to be able to give you a better defense and be able to put in the legwork?
We do work with lower price lawyers, and we do work with programs like Spartacus Legal, who provide pro bono and lower price, legal counsel. So, we'll do our best to get somebody hopefully in your area if you know someone. Please just bring them out, bring the people you know out. Don't let their first contact with us be, hey, you're Peachtree NORML. I just got pulled over. I just got out of jail. I got to go to court. I just, get them here before. So, I know, it's awful. I know. It's so sad. It's so heartbreaking. And we do what we can after that point, but, yeah.
Stay connected.
Yeah,
Circuit.
please.
I'm not a criminal.
Okay,
All the
so
circuit.
Yes.
the ultimate goal of no plea is to force a jury trial.
Yes.
Yes,
Right.
and it's also to clog the court.
And
Because all they're doing is just
Everybody that got
plea.
arrested
Well, let me
between now and the end of the
finish my
year.
question. So, if we get in one of those situations and we no plea, go to jury trial, that's rarely, if ever, going to happen today or tomorrow.
Right.
2 years.
So,
Oh, yeah,
2 years on the
3
average.
years.
Right now.
Before, yeah.
See, if everybody got arrested
Hearing.
between now and the end of the year on, minor charges and everything, I mean, we're not talking about major felonies. We're talking about, standard misdemeanor charges, simple possession charges, stuff like that. If everybody that got arrested between today and the end of the year, on December 31st, and said no plea for me, we would block up the court system for at least 5 years.
and I'm thinking about your situation, you're trying to be sympathetic. So it gives us a couple of advantages here. One, we're hoping that the wheels of change
Will catch up with us.
will catch up with us in the year or two before we actually
Right.
go to trial. But also gives organizations like NORML, Peachtree NORML, an opportunity to mobilize.
Right.
Right,
Exactly.
yeah, I mean,
your
and it gives
case
you,
or-
and it gives you more time, like I said, to educate yourself. And, maybe if you can hold off for 2 years before you have to go to court, maybe you can start putting a little bit of money aside, so by the time you go to court, you can afford to hire a good attorney.
Right.
And like you said, we do have contact with a lot of attorneys that will work with us and everything, and they work with a lot of people that are low income and everything, and they don't charge outrageous amounts, Now, if you know of any attorneys that, work with lower income people and stuff like that and everything, give them our information, have them contact us.
Or support legalization and decriminalization.
Right,
Jury
Let the
nullification.
potheads out of jail. Yeah.
And jury nullification.
That's what it's about.
right, but,
Look, you're throwing your life on a fire when you do jury nullification. But if somebody can't do it, then we're not gonna ever get anywhere. Think about how many people went to jail during the civil rights movement and the ride on the buses. They would load up 700 people in the paddy wagons and put them in jail, and they'd call out 700 more. If we're not willing to do anything, we're not gonna damn get anywhere.
Right.
Sharon, what do you mean we're throwing our lives on a fire?
Well,
I'm
just
sure what you
in
mean.
general, you're taking a big friggin' risk, especially if you're a young black man, obviously,
Right.
more than with me. But quite frankly, you've got to have the balls to do it, regardless of what color or what sex you are. My niece was facing 30 years and losing 3 kids. And she had no choice but to do something. They were gonna give her 10 anyway. That's a good time. If they're offering you 30 days or 6 months and you can face 10 or 15 years, I get it. But when you're facing 30 and your plea deal is 10, what the hell? You know what I mean? You're gonna take a plea deal for 5 or 10 years and get away and have your kids gone, don't even know who the hell you are? So at some point, some folks that are facing those charges where they've got a good case are gonna have to start coming forward and doing this crap.
And they'll be supportive,
Because
yeah.
think about it. We have 60 to 80%, depending on whether you're a patient or whether you're just a consumer, right? That support you. How the hell are they gonna find a jury to convict you?
Right.
You only need one person.
Reasonable doubt.
That's 10%. That's not even 10%, that's 8%. Our numbers in Georgia are upwards of 55%, 60% for legal, and then 85 to 90% for medical. You really think they're going to be able to find a jury? And even if they can, take it to the day that they're picking the jury trial. I assure you, you will get a deal that you will never get on that first or second offer.
Bargaining.
Even if you know that you're not going to trial and you make them do every bit of that work. That's what I did with Brittany when she got busted. We really kept telling them, I dare you to find a jury that's going to convict my 19-year-old daughter for a half a gram of weed. Go for it. I was in their faces. They knew we were going to trial. We walked in that day to pick a jury, and they offered her a deal that she would have never gotten if she hadn't stepped in that jury, stepped into that court.
That was my scenario too.
Maybe
It was
not
2
the
years
best.
before I went to court.
So even if you really don't think, I really don't want to go, you're going to get your best deal that day.
Yes.
Push it out.
Like
Don't
Sam.
just say, oh, fuck it, I don't want to go 2 years and have to live under the suspicion of blah, 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 and this and that and the other. Or you can do like I plan on doing, but again, I'm the quintessential, soccer grandma now that I'm older, and I doubt they're going to want to keep me in jail for very long, but if I get caught with pot, I'm not getting out of jail. They're going to damn pay. They're going to pay to feed my ass, and I'm going to read a book or write one. I'm not going to get out at all. So but quite frankly, everybody needs to figure out before you get arrested,
Right.
okay, and think this through. How am I going to deal with this? Who am I going to call? Have a list of people.
Have you a plan?
Have a plan before they light you up.
Tell your friends to have a plan.
And always remember, keep your damn mouth shut, because most
Yes.
lawyers charge by the word.
Exactly.
And you will not talk yourself out of going to jail, but you'll damn sure talk yourself into it.
Yes. Don't say that.
And that's my 2 cents. Sorry.
Well, that's all right.
Okay, so we pushed back, no plea deals, going to trial. We get notified at NORML that, hey, there's somebody for a minor possession going to trial on November 30th. Aside from standing 150 feet away from the courthouse passing out brochures, what can we do?
Actually, we would want to pass out those brochures over time ahead of the trial first. Get the people in the town before they even select the jury. Once we know that they're going, we want that information out. You can't really affect the jury that day if you're standing out there. What you want to do, they know how pissed we are. What you want to do is, what happens with us is we actually do, through the Human Solution and Peachtree NORML, we actually do court support. So that day, we would go in and wear these little ribbons right here that are made with love and aggression for solidarity for people who are in court about to go to jail for marijuana. And so basically it's not a marijuana leaf, it's not anything distracting that would, it's very, you go in, dress business casual, wear this, and the person knows that you're there to support them. The judge and the prosecutor and the lawyer see people there watching them. See people there watching them doing their jobs and know that upstanding citizens support this person. And it really can make a difference, as well as writing letters to that judge. Pre-screened by the lawyer, of course.
And never underestimate the support that you're going to get to the person that's standing up there before the judge. Because them looking in that courtroom and seeing it, knowing that there's 5 or 6 people that they may have never met before, have showed up to stand behind them and let them know we've got your back.
Yeah.
The moral support that you're giving the people that are on trial can mean so much and everything, because I tell you what, anytime I walk into a court building like that, I still get shivers from it and everything. I didn't know that day when I went down there whether I was fixing to go away for 5 to 10 years or a minimum of a year and a half if they just sent me to the county farm. I would have been down there for a minimum of a year and a half if I'd have got a 5-year sentence. You know, I mean, I was there, I had a little bag with me and everything, a little backpack thing with me and everything, I had toothbrush and all that stuff and everything, I was ready. Had a couple of books in there, I didn't know what they were gonna allow me to take in with me and everything, but I had
Don't bring your toothbrush, they don't let you take it in now. That
No.
was years ago.
Yeah, this
And they have to buy everything.
This was back in the early 90s, so, you know, I mean, this has been a while back, but, you know, I went down there prepared that day and everything, you know, and I had about 9 people that were friends of mine, including one that was a very good friend of mine. She put her house up for a $35,000 bond to get me out of jail, or else I would have sat in jail. I sat in jail for 18 days before they set a bond for me when they arrested me, because they kept trying to sweat me out.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
You know, they were like, you know, well, you come in here every day. They come out here, you ready to talk to us? Ready to talk to us? Ready to talk to us? We can get you out of here this afternoon. You want to talk to us? We'll get you out of here this afternoon. No, you know, I ain't got nothing to say. Talk to my lawyer. That was my only comment. You know, spent 18 days in there the first time. Spent 41 days in there another time. Spent another 30 days in there. They kept bugging with me, but they, you know, they may have took me down, but they didn't break me down. You know, and like I said, you know, I mean, a lot of this is just an individual's decision and everything, because the way I look at it, you know, I was fixing to lose everything.
Right.
And if I'm going to lose everything, then I might as well fight for whatever I can. You know, I'm like, you know, when, you know, I mean, to me, it came out the best possible scenario. You know, I got out, they charged me $3,000 for drug rehab and everything that I never got. Or no, excuse me, my bond was $3,000, it was $1,500 I had to pay for drug rehab that I never got registered to or anything else. So at the end of my 5 years and everything, I went down there, when I went down there and I got all my paperwork, and I went down there and I told them, I said, I want you to print me out a thing saying that my shit is done, I'm over, I'm free and clear, I can go wherever the hell I want to. Because I could not leave the county without letting them know. For 5 years. For 1 year, I was basically on house arrest if I wasn't at work. When I got off work, I had 30 minutes to get from work to home. They could piss test me at any time. You know, any place that I was, gave them an open warrant to come and search anywhere. If I'd come over to see Sharon, and they didn't know I was in Sharon's house, they could have walked up to Sharon's door, and they could have come in and they could have searched Sharon's house just because I was there. Now, that's how screwed up this shit was. You know, but, you know, I mean, yeah, I didn't get the best in the world and everything, you know, but at that time, for what I was facing and everything, I think I did a pretty good deal. But like I said, it all boils down to what the individuals were doing and willing to do. You know, mine was a more serious charge. Because, you know, if you're facing felony charges and you've got felony weight on you, then, you know, if you can get a fair plea deal or what you feel is a fair deal, then, you know, by all means take it and everything. But, you know, the longer you hold out, the better the deal's going to get. It's going to get
Because
the
it's they know who you are. It
is.
Staring back, it's a sales.
It
pitch.
is.
It is. It's like
It's like the day after Christmas sale and everything, you know. You take a chance whether or not it's going to still be there after Christmas, but like I said, you know, I mean.
So I will say I've seen the effects of court support, letter writing. We were able to get a couple who would not turn on or on each other in Tennessee. They were able to get like 2 years, I think. The minimum was 5, so they were able to do like 2 years and a couple years probation. And that was for 127 plants growing in their basement. They sold their farm 3 years before they even saw a judge.
That's the couple that comes here now?
Is that skin
No, this is
No, that's a couple from Tennessee that I worked with. Actually, that was one of the first human solution court support things we were doing. And so we wrote letters to the judge, and when I write letters to a judge, I try to be as hard, you know, pull those tears out as much as I can. And luckily, this lady was a midwife. So I just wrote, you know, hey, she's the most gentle person I know. She delivers babies. I mean, hello, you know, basically, hello, how's she going to hurt anybody? You know, so try to find those parts of the person's personality. And just, you know, if you've known them only for 2 years, just say I've known them for a couple of years or a few years or something like that. I mean, you don't have to be completely specific, but you want to, the judge wants to know that you know them enough to be able to speak for them.
You know, and another thing you can do to help educate yourself, and it's not a lot of fun and everything, but it's very eye-opening and very educational. If you've never dealt with the court system here in Metro Atlanta, go down there one day. They have an open courtroom. You can go in there and you can just sit in the back. You don't have to talk to anybody. You can just sit there and watch the cases coming up and see for yourself the way that they function and the way that they do things. You know, like I said, forewarned is forearmed. You know, this way you know, I mean, because if you live, some people live in Metro Atlanta, some people may live in Snellville, some people live
Yeah, and
in
it also shows the
Douglasville.
judge too.
You know,
that
you know, if you've never been through the court system up there, go and sit in and just sort of get a feel for the way things are handled, and you can tell, you know, a lot by that and everything, you know.
It seems like in the last 12 months or so, I've seen 1 or 2 notifications come out. I don't know if it's from Sharon or Kim or you, but about a possession trial coming up.
Yeah. See, if people
How can we
notify
get
us of
more of
this and everything,
those?
we always try to get the word out there and everything and let them know. But a lot of people, you know, they're embarrassed and they don't want a lot of people to know. You know, they don't want to put it
Or
out
their
there.
lawyer tells them not to have people there, and it's like we try to explain, we're just sitting in as witnesses and we're wearing a ribbon. We're not there to protest and wear crazy shirts.
Right, you know, yeah, I mean, they don't want a bunch of people sitting in tie-dye shirts and headbands and everything. sitting
That's
on the back
what it
of the
is.
courtroom.
That's what
not
they're
what we
worried
need.
about.
Like she said, you know, business casual attire and everything, you know, go in there and we do a little solidarity with it. You know.
Last call for the raffle. Thank you all for coming tonight. We appreciate it. Please talk to someone else. Please take some information.
Before you
Because when we're
finish, Kim,
talking, we're winning.
Do what?
Kim,
Just say when we're talking.
I never got a chance
Yes.
to mention
Yes.
18 USC 241.
Go ahead. So Tom's.
All right, there's federal civil rights law, Title 18. If you're in a situation where the judge and the prosecuting attorney, the district attorney, and the police are all hassling you, pressuring you to try to make a plea or give something up, that's actually a violation of 18 USC 241, which is conspiracy to deprive someone of their rights. And if you get that well documented, you could actually take them to court on a federal level for violating your rights. So think about that. If they're trying to pressure you into copping a plea, say, are you intentionally violating my rights? And they'll have to respond yes or no. If they're bullying you, same way with the police and if you're arrested and they're pressuring you to make a statement, they are violating 18 USC 241 and they face, if they are convicted, they face fines and imprisonment. Also, something I was talking to Sharon about, we haven't really had a chance to talk about it, is another civil rights rule known as 18 USC 14141, which is about a civil entity showing a pattern of deprivation of rights against a particular group. I want us to think about that and really use this against Atlanta City Council. Because Atlanta, the city of Atlanta, is violating 18 USC 14141. Go home and Google that. Because I think that's the argument that can get Atlanta to change their ways. Oh, only because like 94% of the people that they arrest for marijuana possession happen to be of color, and that's a blatant violation of that particular statute on a federal level. So we can call in the feds to fix Atlanta for us. So let's use those as intimidation tactics. Reverse intimidation. Oh, it's pretty easy because they have a pattern. They've developed a pattern.
I know I went through all that wrong.
It's just an idea to use that against them. That's all I got to say. So now we're going to get our waitress to do the raffle.
I would say, hey, if you're up for medical defense and you want to testify.
Come up so we can hear you.
Yeah.
Come over here, we can hear you.
The rain's too loud.
If there's a medical need, don't forget to look up Stiller.
Stiller.
It was an appeal case, Georgia Appellate Court, which the judge, it was done in 78, Stiller versus Georgia. But she argued that he should be able to bring up a medical marijuana defense. And the judge ruled in his favor and said that he would have accepted medical defense had there been a medical marijuana law in Georgia, which was passed in 1980. So now there is. And you can argue that Stiller versus Georgia, 1978, that you have the right to bring up a medical marijuana defense in Georgia.
Nice.
And we forwarded that to David West and a couple other lawyers. I think he used it one time.
Do you have to have a medical card to use that defense?
No. But it helps.
It helps.
Oh, and
You got a medical card, you shouldn't,
The
you
pawn
shouldn't be in that
shop.
situation.
the pawn shop in camp is also doing a float at the Little 5 Points Halloween Festival.
Hollered and didn't hear me. I said, anybody else? Y'all didn't hear me?
Camp Falls.
Does anybody else got any other business?
And then we're thinking of setting up tables for marijuana groups in Little East Atlanta, in front of the Pax Blue Ribbon concert coming up October 4th. Right there on the corner of Glenwood and Gladstone.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Paul.
It's October 4th.
Okay, is that it? Anyone else? Otherwise, I'm going to shut off the camera.
Tamara Johnson Shealy. Listen, folks, we got a lot of people that are starting to come out and run on this issue. So be talking to the people that are running, because most of the folks that are in there now are not real great at it, but make sure that y'all contact the people that they're running, that are going to be running against them. In Dahlonega, in my little town, we have five people on the city council, and there's like 2 or 3 people running for each seat. People are tired of it. If you've got any inkling to try and run, please, for God's sakes, run. But we've got folks like Tamara Johnson Shealy. I've been working with her on her platform around criminal justice and public safety. She's running in District 40, which is part of DeKalb, Gwinnett, and Fulton. So, you know, there's quite a few people running for Atlanta City Council that are either pro-cannabis or anti-prohibition, whichever way you want to say it. Paul's got somebody else.
You
So
know, one fellow is running over in the Indian Park area, has got a Iranian name, I'm sorry, it slips me. But he's pro-marijuana. I've invited him to come speak at the country.
yeah, and if you have
I'll
someone
put
that
that
you
up on
find,
the-
invite them to
website.
come speak to us and
Are
drop
those
in.
people that you're expecting to come already, that you confirmed in the card, or are those the actual candidates?
We invited all 12 of the candidates that qualified. We've got 4 or 5 that are definitely coming.
On the,
I can assure you, Mary Norwood will not be here.
Yeah, she's probably the only one that is against it, because she's got an endorsement from
I've been talking
APD.
to her for fun.
Hey, did Amon come up?
Yeah, that might be him, yeah.
well,
What a politician, he was right in the pocket to read.
right. Well, like I said, these are the people that are running
Is that a dance
for
move?
office and everything. Several of them I've talked to already and everything, you know, and they're in. Some of them are not for full legalization, but they do say that something can change and everything. You know, we do need to make some changes in the system, and they're, you know. Of course, politicians are going to tell you whatever they can to get the vote. But this is just, you know, a list. These are the people, these are the 13 candidates that are qualified to run for mayor of Atlanta. And I thought that this was a lot until I looked and I saw that there's 22 running for mayor of New Orleans. I'm like, okay.
So we were looking to have a fairly good turnout, so we've had a few that even before we put it out, were like, let me know when it is, I'm putting it on my personal phone.
And I put my word out with Alicia Moore from City Council.
Yeah,
Totally.
If
In
you
our ballpark.
look, we'll be sharing some events and everything, because there's several other events coming up around Metro Atlanta for everybody that's running for office, for people that run for city council and everything. They're gonna have one of those. They're doing one over in Pittsburgh community. They've got something going on, I think it's next Tuesday over there. They're having a meet and greet with the candidates. There's a couple of things going on over the weekend. There's one in Grant Park, there's one in Inland Park, where there's going to be a lot of people that are running for, you know, local offices, and people that are already throw their names in the hat for state offices for next year. They're going to be out at these events. So if you see one, then share it with us, and, you know, so everybody can get out and meet these people. Or don't be afraid to ask, you know.
That's what we want to do October 4th. that shelter off those booths. They're out there in front of that.
Yeah, we were at that Roots a couple of weeks ago, at that Root Station down there for 3 days, and there was, I think 9 politicians had booths set up down there and everything. There was like probably 150 booths set up down there, and there was like 9 politicians. Every one of them made it a point to come by our booth. We didn't have to go look for them. They came to us and talked to all of us and everything. And all but one of them was openly
Right.
ready to come out.
Amen to that, you're out all over.
Some form of deregulation. They're not willing to say legalization
All right,
yet, but you know,
yeah.
hey, it's baby steps. But they say this is a marathon.
All right, thank you so much. Appreciate it. It's time
Thank you.
for the wrap.
Good meeting.
Thank you. Y'all appreciate it. Thanks for coming. And remember to tell somebody about jury nullification.